everybody, and welcome to the Board Game Geek Show for September 27th, 2019. I'm your host, Scott Alden, and once again, I'm joined by my lovely co-hosts, Lincoln Damerst, Steph Hodge, W. Martin, and Rodney Smith. How's everybody doing?
Hey, everybody.
Good. Great.
Doing great.
I hope you all had a good weekend of gaming. I sure did. I played Pet Tapestry 99 times. I finally think I understand how to play.
That means you can teach it really well.
I can teach it with my eyes closed. No problem.
I thought you could play it with your eyes closed.
Yeah, and that too.
Okay.
So have you seen most of the civilizations then? Probably, right?
I've seen all but 2.
Wow. Okay.
All but 2. Yeah. So I'm waiting to... I've spoiled them for myself, though. I've read the cards now. Because I just want to, did I see them all? I had to see what I haven't seen.
Has this brought up much conversation in your group about the game's balance? I'm curious just because that's the next topic I think I'm going to do for Table Talk is a conversation around game balance and perceptions around that.
Right.
What's been the experience with your group?
Vastly unbalanced.
Interesting.
People don't like the architects.
Yeah. That being said, I really like the game. It doesn't matter. I think even some of the worst civs can do well in that game just by virtue of other combinations. So
yeah, I hope people check out the Table Talk because I have lots of thoughts about this.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And I'd love to get other people's thoughts on it too. So
we'll just jump right into BGG news. We're going to have a Table Talk by Rodney, so that's going to be it.
There you go.
The BGG Spring Tickets have already gone on sale if you have been paying attention to the website.
I haven't been. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so BGG Spring right around the corner, 180 days. It's like every 180 days.
Wow.
Like you gotta keep them going.
This is great. Even before BGG Con happens, we're already putting up the decorations for BGG Spring. It's just like Halloween and Christmas.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's a different location, so we have to transport all the...
Right. And so I'll say it again, like I said it last time, I made it so clear. BGG Spring is at the DFW Airport Hyatt Regency.
And if it's in the fall, it's at the ball. If it's in fall,
falls at the ball. We already
that's
made
Nick,
that. Yeah,
that's
good. Down in downtown
I
Dallas.
like that.
Yeah. So if you haven't got your tickets yet, please grab those. We would like to see you all there. We're all going to be there. Yeah. We're not sure about the SDJ, the Spiele des Jahres committee again. They always decide sort of like at their end of year meeting. So we'll find out. When we find out, we'll let you know. We probably will have the games there. I think we kind of set a thing where whether or not they are there, those games will be there, right? We're going to try to get all the nominees.
Absolutely. There's no reason not to try to do it.
Right. Strong arm the publishers.
Yeah.
Give us games.
Give us the games. Most of them are pretty easy to get. I think Quacksalber on Quedlinburg was the hardest one to get for us last time.
And the hardest one to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
The last time, no, I think Tiefenthal was the one you were struggling to get, which it didn't even get nominated.
But Tiefenthal did not get nominated.
Yeah.
I was pre-preparing, so I was ordering from Germany or Amazon DE, and I think it took the long way home.
Yeah.
And so basically, I got them after the show, but that game is awesome. Oh no, wait, we did have them, didn't we?
We
did.
Yeah, they got punched.
We did have it.
Yeah, they just got punched incorrectly.
Punched them wrong. We threw away the bars. We threw away the taverns.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
Yes.
By the way, I know that game's going to be hot when it comes out. It's going to be probably... There's not been a lot of real... I was going to say hype, but Rodney, I'm not going to say hype. I'm going to say there hasn't been much buzz about it.
Oh, thanks, Scott.
We already did a game night for it. We love it. We're just kind of delaying it a bit for the timing for the release in the States, which I believe is December. So, okay. Unfortunately.
So it won't even be at BGG Con.
Not soon
It'll probably
enough.
be at BGG Con in early form, pre-release or something like that, probably.
Look, the buzz got to me too. I went and ordered it off of Amazon.de or whatever it is, because I was really keen to try it out.
You couldn't wait.
It's a completely language independent game.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah,
Yes.
No dependency on the cards. And so we all real like it. Hopefully the rest of the world will too when it comes out.
It has the kind of element of Quacksalber with the randomness of your cards, but my favorite element of that game is when you purchase cards, you put them on the top of your stack, so you can adjust, you can fix your bad deck if you know that there's a bunch of horrible stuff coming up, and mitigate
planning.
the disaster. Yeah, exactly. It's nice.
You get what you get immediate gratification from what you bought, right? Normally you have to shuffle that in a deck builder. This one, you get it right away. So
Yeah.
So another big update that we've just put out on the site is the inclusion of the great work from Geoff Engelstein and Isaac Shalev's book, The Building Blocks of Tabletop Design, which includes I don't know, something like 70 or 80 new game mechanisms. They're not new, but game mechanisms or mechanicisms.
They've identified them. Yeah.
Identified and classified and given pictures and like really good descriptions of everything. So we've integrated that book content into BGG. And so we're in the middle of like converting old ones to new ones, or getting rid of some of the old ones and merging some of the old and new ones and renaming everything and making it hopefully clear as day. So if you want to know what mechanics that you are in your favorite games, you can come to BGG and click on the button and see them.
That sounds really great.
We've sort of degraded over time. Like, I think the last big time we spent on this was in 2005, when we made some big changes to the database. So now it's been, 14 years since we've touched it. I mean, we've added mechanicisms here and there, but like, it's never been fully thought out. Those guys put in a ton of work. The book publisher has given us permission to repost that with the pictures too. Like, every mechanic has a picture. So you'll see that rolling out as we speak. And it's a work in progress, guys. So
and that will show up in the sign of some kind of like code, right? There's a code, and then there's the name. Is that correct?
We're dropping the codes. We're dropping the codes.
Oh, the codes are dropping.
Yeah, there's been a lot of feedback, I should say, about the codes. Mostly negative.
Yeah, I was going to say feedback. Is that being kind?
I mean, yeah, it's mostly
criticism.
Criticisms, which is fine. I understand. This is a work in progress. If you've spent any time on BoardGameGeek, you know everything is a work in progress. We're constantly changing things. Nothing is set in stone. We won't ruin your life.
That's right.
We'd like to evolve the way the website works.
It is online. That's a feature of online sites. They evolve.
They evolve. We work every day on board games. It's like we're thinking about them all the time. So, but we do appreciate the feedback. Honestly, it was like overwhelming. It was like hundreds of posts and suggestions and things. So we're taking those. I just talked with Geoff for like an hour. We're going through a bunch of stuff. We just put up a post on Tuesday. If you hadn't seen it already, Monday. If you hadn't seen it already, that's a time machine thing working, by the way, about a new a progress report, let's say, since last week. So we're excited about it. And hopefully as new mechanicisms get invented, we can keep up with all those and upgrade, evolve it. Because those guys are like on the edge.
Are they using that term, or are we just paying service?
I'm really liking this new mechanicisms.
I'm going to credit Keith Collins. My buddy Keith Collins basically invented that term. And I think it's an awesome term because there's a great debate between the word mechanic and mechanism. Why not just merge them together and make everybody happy? I think it works.
Yeah, that'll make everyone happy.
Yes. That's what we do, Rodney. We like to make people happy at BoardGameGeek. Yeah. We really try. Of course, that's not possible. But yeah, we try. Eric, do you want to give us a quick Essen Spiele update? We're fastly approaching it. We're going to be leaving a couple weeks. No, 3 or 4 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
Something. Depends on where we go.
Something like that. I should probably figure that out. Make sure I show up on the right day.
Buy a plane ticket.
Well, what I found interesting is last time we recorded, I said, we're getting close to 900 items. And by the time that BGG show was published, we were over 1,000. So within that window of less than a week. This time, we're not even at 1,100. And I've had no publisher submissions for several days.
Wow.
I don't think I'm done, but it just feels like everyone front-loaded the work a little more, which I greatly appreciate. Our demo schedule is roughly 95% full. We have very few slots left, and Doug Garrett's working on filling those out. So there's still more things to be announced. I wrote to 33 publishers the other day, asking them for info because I would expect info, and I hadn't heard anything yet. And at least a half dozen have already responded. I've got those titles on there. So it's kind of... It's not set, but it seems like it's getting there. So if you're looking to record your most anticipated 20 games from Spiele 19, there you go. Most of it's there. You can do that.
You know me so well.
Yes, I know. Steph, there you go. Get busy.
I think that's a nice endorsement of the list. I mean, I think that means the publishers value and want to be on it, and they're learning to get on there quick so they can be there for those top suggestion lists and so on. I know Chaz has been putting out a top 100 recommendations for Spiele, which seems crazy.
Yes. Yes,
The
it
top
does.
2,000 games coming out of Spiele 2013. Number 1999.
All you got to do is rank them.
I mean, I know there will be more, definitely. If you look at the Merz Verlag press releases, they say we've had 1,500 games listed. We end up having some that they don't because publishers have to submit a list to them by the beginning of August. And then they can have some addendum later, but mostly it's set by the beginning of August. But some publishers come up later. We have these things to demo. Something arrived that we didn't expect. It's for sale. So I keep updating it until mid-October. So we will have things that Merz Verlag doesn't, but they will have things from publishers who don't know to send info to BGG, because I don't get info directly from Merz Verlag. So
There's probably like a few hundred kids games, right, that we don't. That
yes,
they're not on our radar.
There's a bunch of those that don't. Although some now we've started. Jeco, the French publisher, has now sent information. Where last time I got information only because of a French designer who normally does games that are listed on BGG. Said, "Oh, you should come look at my game." And now it's sort of transitioned. So now the publisher's on my list and sending me info. Just found out Funkoverse is going to be there. Funko with their Funkoverse titles. So
I'm currently swimming in Funkoverse.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
Well, that's
Rodney?
I'm actually shooting the tutorial video for Funkoverse right now, and I'm using the Harry Potter one. So
Oh yeah, well.
that's the one I've used the most so far. But there's loads here, loads.
Yeah, I'm gonna put up Rod and Draco against the Golden Girls in my next game.
I mean, I think the Golden Girls are they're just so out there. You wouldn't expect to see a game about them, so it's fun, right?
I would not. That's fun. Yeah.
They are known for their brawling.
right. Chris Rowlands at Funko Games talked about how they included Golden Girls specifically to show that you have no idea what they're coming out with next. Because Harry Potter and Batman, sure, that's expected, and Rick and Morty, okay, it's a geek thing. But then Golden Girls, it was kind of just like...
Rick and Morty, I got Squanchy on today. Yeah.
They were just like, try to guess what we're doing next.
I'm pulling for Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
Because they do have, I own the Big Lebowski Funko Pops.
Are they going to do the
So I'm hoping for the
Nihilists?
dude.
That'll be one of the factions. They might cut off a toe.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hopefully, Stranger Things.
You
Oh,
never
yeah.
know.
There's some good stuff out there. They've got everything, right? Like, what don't they have is the question.
Exactly.
Do we know if they have license to all of their IPs as games too? Have they ever?
We do
mentioned
not.
that? Like, if they give you, like, does the Pop license apply to a game?
I talked with
like,
Chris Rowlands about it a little, and he mostly just said, we will be making announcements. He said, clearly
Right.
we have inroads with all the publishers from work or IP holders from work we've done with them previously.
Yeah, I had made a comment to
And
someone.
then it's going to end it.
I had made a comment to someone about the fact that it's too bad they won't be able to do Star Wars, and they were like, "Never say never."
money talks. All right, so we're gonna move on now to everybody's favorite segment. What have you been playing? And let's start with Steph. What have you been playing, Steph?
Oh my goodness, I have been playing all the games. I have been fortunate to get a few review copies from Taiwan, the Taiwan board game group from Smooks, and he sends me a bunch of cool overseas games that are kind of harder to get, but I always enjoy playing them because they're different, they're weird and unique. So today I definitely wanted to look at Electropolis because I have a thing for Opolis games. So I like city building. So obviously if it has Opolis, well, not obviously, but generally if it has Opolis in the title, it has some sort of city building
Mechanic.
and this one...
Mechanicism?
Mechanicism. We got to be consistent here.
Consistency.
Oh my goodness. So this game is pretty unique because you're pulling tiles and then you're drafting a location of how many tiles you're going to take, but somebody might take fewer tiles and take the tiles you want, or you could go for like a ton of tiles and everybody will get tiles before you get the leftovers of that round. But you're also drafting cards, which might help you with endgame scoring. So you're building up this city, your own personal board, and you're trying to connect things and not have too much pollution because you have to get the reputation to match your pollution level. So you're doing all these cool things, and it's totally my type of game. It's not the most attractive box, but it has all that gameplay that I love.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah, there's always been a quest for the perfect SimCity game, right? Like there's so many different takes on it. So sounds like another one that's pretty good.
oh my goodness, I had so much fun playing this one, so I can't recommend it more if you like the city building type games.
And if somebody wanted to pick this up, where would they find it, Steph?
Yeah, as far as I know, it's just an Essen release at this point. So hopefully they can work to get somebody in the US.
Taiwan Board Game Design usually has a pre-order system where you can pre-order to pick it up at the show or get it shipped to you. Because shipping from Taiwan, I've learned, is incredibly cheap.
Really?
So, yes. I've talked with Odd Hackwelder, who worked for a publisher out there, and they can ship bubble envelopes, little tiny bubble envelopes for, I think, less than $1 anywhere in the world.
Wow.
And so shipping in general, I don't know if it's subsidized or what happened, but shipping is cheap from Taiwan. I've got my copy right there on the shelf that I have not played yet. I've been playing some other stuff from Taiwan, other publishers, but hope to get to it soon.
Yeah. Yeah, you should. It's really, really a well done game, and I was blown away yesterday when I played it, so... What have you been playing, Rodney?
Well, I haven't been playing a ton, but I have been playing Conspiracy, the Solomon Gambit. This is a new title from Restoration Games, right, where they're restoring an old classic and bringing it back. I think the original game was 1970 something.
3.
Wow.
3, yes, that sounds right, 1973. And the idea here is you're playing as sort of rival agencies, and you've got this board here with different city locations, and there's going to be a plastic briefcase. I don't know if you can see this. It's going to sit in the center here initially, okay? And then over the course of the game, you have all these various agents. We don't control the certain agents. We have access to all of them as players. We're like rival agencies. And the idea is we're going to be investing control over these agents. We're going to be paying them off so that we can then try to use them to move them around the board, pick up the briefcase, and bring it back to our headquarters. So every player has got one of these little shields. It uses a hidden information mechanicism, you might say. And behind that, you're going to have a little board that shows all the different agents, right? And you'll have a certain amount of coins. So you have these nice little plastic coins here. And you'll assign money to the different agents, right? Okay. And the more you have on an agent, it's not that you have control of them, but the more control you have over them. So for example, if I want to move, say, Spyglass, the purple agent here, someone can try to challenge me. And so in that case, we have a little bit of a face-off going back and forth, each volunteering how much money we've paid off to them. So maybe I start low and I say, well, I got 2. And they go 3. And I go 6. Now I can't say an amount I don't have, but if I win and they have to either, they choose to back off or they just can't go any further because they haven't put any more money on it, then I get to go ahead and make my move. What's interesting about this is you could go really heavy and invest a lot in a particular agent, and yes, then you'd have almost complete control over them. But there's this other action in the game called, what's it called? Burning the agent out? Burning an agent, that's it, burning the agent. And so
wow.
The person can say, I want to try to burn, let's say, Spyglass, because I think Rodney's got way too much control over Spyglass. And then they try to burn that agent with a different agent. So maybe they've invested very heavily in this one over here. And so they get that agent into my space, and then they try to basically remove that agent from the board. So they can outbid me, then that agent's gone, like effectively from the game. So you don't want to go...
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you don't want to go too heavy into any one agent necessarily until the time is right, when you can really get that briefcase in a position where you can then quickly get it over to your headquarters. So it's really this like tug of war back and forth and jockeying and trying to figure out, well, who do I think Rodney's investing in right now? Who do I think Steph's investing in right now based on who they're trying to move and who's close to the briefcase and so forth. So it's kind of a little cat and a mouse with a whole bunch of cats, I guess.
I always invest in red because that's
well, that's good to know. I appreciate knowing that next time we play.
That's right. Worst spy ever.
The other thing I'll just mention quickly is there's this Dr. Solomon. This is why it's called Dr. Solomon's Gambit, because this is like another character at the table, another player at the table, I should say. And it's the best AI dummy character ever because it does almost nothing. I hate when you've got like this dummy character you got to remember like 17 rules for. All this does is just advance the round marker, basically. And when the round marker gets to the end of the track, Then at that point, you will roll that die. There's like it's a die basically. I mean, it shows his face that he's taking the briefcase, and then it's whoever has the most money left over wins. So the game can't go forever. It eventually will end, but you kind of know when it's getting close to the end.
Had you ever played the original? Do you know the differences or?
I didn't, and I don't know. I remember reading at one point in time what the differences were, and they all seemed like improvements. I think maybe I don't know if the round track and the way the game ends is one of them, perhaps. Oh, I know one thing for sure. Every one of the agents has a special ability. So after you successfully move the agent, you can then trigger its ability, which might move another agent or push the briefcase somewhere or allow you to jump around the map. So that's kind of an interesting thing too, because you've got that dynamic happening as you're playing the game.
Yeah, that must be one of the big things, because that sounds a little advanced for a 70s board game. Special abilities, right? Like.
Yes.
I bet they didn't have special abilities.
But I have to say, the production overall, again, just like really fantastic. They really did a great job. Everything looks really high quality and it feels really good when you're playing. So keep an eye out for that. That should be releasing. Actually, I think it's available now. I think it just had street data a little while ago.
What have you been playing, Eric?
I have been playing Babylonia, one of 3 big releases from Reiner Knizia at Spiele 19. This is from Spanish publisher Ludonova. It's a 2 to 4 player game that is like classic Knizia. You can imagine it being something released almost any time during his career because it fits that genre that he has. So I've got a 6-fold board here. I'm in Rodney's camp where I need something that will let me hold this board because I'm showing only a third of it at the moment.
I feel your pain.
It's a hex board. You've got spaces for ziggurats. You adjust the amount of space you use based on whether you have 2, 3, or 4 players. You are going to place ziggurats on certain locations and then city tiles and farmer tiles at random on certain marked hexes. So you lay those out and you'll have a different arrangement each game, a la Through the Desert. So each player has a set of chips.
To be clear, Eric, I know what a ziggurat is, but for anyone watching who doesn't, I mean, what's that?
A ziggurat?
Yeah.
It's a pyramid of some type, isn't it? Stepped pyramid?
Yes. A specific type of stepped pyramid. There you go.
I mean, I knew that, obviously.
I'll just go with Lincoln. Each player has a bag of tokens, and you have 4 types of tokens. You have farmers, and then the other 3 are sort of different, where you have merchants, civil servants, and priest. So you have little icons on them.
Sounds familiar.
I know, no joke.
Yes, it does.
What?
You'll have a rack of 5 tokens. On a turn, you can play any 2 tokens face up on the board. You can also play any 2 tokens face down in the river. That sounds ominous. They don't have their special symbol. The symbol no longer matters, but it was someone who was part of your crew.
Did they mention anything about swimming with the fishes?
They did not. No. You can also play any number of farmers together. So that's a little special thing. You are trying to surround cities to claim the city, and you'll get bonus points when a city is surrounded based on the number of tokens that you have with the symbol on that particular city. So when this city is surrounded, you look at how many priests you have, not just around this city, but connected in chains of your tokens to that city. So you're trying to make networks of your tokens across the board so that ideally when this token is surrounded, I will score for my priest. And when this one is surrounded, I will also score for my priest. So ideally I have things all connected around the board and I can score multiple times for all these different tokens.
So it's fairly abstract.
Are you trying to criticize Knizia as being abstract?
In theory, it's abstract.
Okay.
Knizia always buries the theme, and it comes through in the gameplay itself, not overtly because it's an elf and therefore it does elfin things, but it's more buried in there.
Every game's an abstraction, man.
Yeah, if you want to look at it that way.
That's probably true.
When you surround ziggurats, you get points based on the number of ziggurats that you have tokens next to. So that's a different way to score, where you're trying to connect all of them discreetly, not in lines. There's a way to surround farmers. You get bonuses off them. And so you're trying to make this network across the board. And of course, it has the classic, you can only do so much. You can only place 2 tokens face up or any number of farmers. So you often have these turns where you do 2 and 2 and 2, and slowly the farmers accumulate and then you blast them out. And when a ziggurat's surrounded, whoever has the majority of tokens around the ziggurat gets to draft one of the special tiles on the side to give you a special power. either one-time use or something you can use throughout the course of the game. So it's extremely simple in the gameplay, but then it's all just the interplay between what you're competing for as you're trying to claim different areas. Extremely classic Knizia design. Played 4 times so far. Plan to do an overview video to show it off more. It's very neat. So again, I'm a huge Knizia fan, and so it works really well where it's abstract and yet you feel these tensions as you're trying to connect things, which of course you would try to do at that time if you want to look back in, the times of Babylonia, where you have to make caravan sort of chains and keep your people linked together in order to keep your civilization or your clan going. So yes, it's abstract, but not there.
Is Knizia its own mechanism in the BGG yet?
Oh, Knizia, yeah.
Is his own category.
He could have his own.
He does have a category.
Like Knizia dash like.
Yeah, I mean it's I don't know what it would be. Network building? I guess it's network building. It's not tile placement.
It sounds like a bit of an amalgamation of a lot of stuff I've heard him in his past games, but special abilities, that's not typically Reiner.
That is not.
That's true.
He is typically Chrome-less games, right? Like not a lot of rules, not a lot of special things. But with the remake of Yellowing Zangxi which is from Tigris and Euphrates, there are special abilities in Yellowing Yangtze. So
yeah. So new thing for him.
True.
New thing.
Some of them are really straightforward. One is just 10-point bonus. There you go.
Yeah.
But another is now you can place any number of farmers plus one other tile. Or you can place one tile of each of the 3 types. Or when cities are claimed off the board, when they're surrounded, whoever has the most tiles around it claims that city, and all players score for the number of cities they've collected. So you can try to specialize in cities or in chains or in ziggurats or different things across the board. And there's a special tile, well, now you're going to score more for cities. So it's the classic thing where it just pulls you in all different directions and you want to grab it all and cannot. Lincoln, what have you been playing?
I played Zombie Kids Evolution, which I really love.
Yay.
We did not get very far. We filmed it, so we played a couple of initial games where there was nothing revealed, and then we played, I think, the game that reveals something, which is I guess I shouldn't talk about it. You can watch it in the video, but it's a legacy game for kids, and it really has lots of fun stuff in it. The funny thing is we've had a 5.5-year-old teach us how to play the game, and she did a pretty good job. We did need some adult prompting, but it was great. And she spoiled. We're like, well, you can't really do that. She tells us about some. I had said beforehand, as long as she doesn't spoil anything, and she immediately spoiled something, but it was pretty great. It's really fun because it's just a basic game, and it teaches kids, to coordinate and to work together. And very well. I like that it's a zombie invasion, and all you're trying to do is lock the gates. You're not trying to get out of town. All you want to do is lock them out of out of your school. But you have to work together to do that. You can't do it on your own, and then you have to high five when you're done, when you successfully lock a gate. It's really fun.
Mandatory.
And it's got all the types of things that kids love. It's got stickers. The characters are great. It's very, very fun. And it's Annick Lobet. Yay, Lobet. And Scorpion Masqué released it. And I think it's ELO in the United States. It's really fun. If you have any children, us adults had fun too.
I was just enjoying you talking about how much kids would like it, and your face is just glowing.
I love kids games. We are going to do we did 2 games with Tashi recently, and that we only generally do kids games. Sometimes we'll do them with adults only during the nominations. Right, we'll do the 3 games that are nominated, and in my opinion, the kids games don't get enough attention. There's a lot of fantastic stuff out there. And they can be fun for adults. Leo Goes to the Barber is literally one of my favorite games of recent times. And it is a super fun game to play, provided you don't have the super lucky thing where you go all the way through without any obstruction. But we've never had that happen. And I think that children's games definitely need more attention. And that's why we're going to start doing more of them on game night. It'll probably be a double feature that day, but it's really fun.
With excellent rules editing by one W. Eric Martin. I thought.
I know. What have you been playing, Scott?
Okay, besides Tapestry, 99 times. Honestly, yeah, play a lot of Tapestry.
I still have to play
But
that.
we've talked a lot about Tapestry. However, I'm going to talk about a game that probably no one here has heard of, called, except for maybe Derek, who's listening to us, and it's called Awkward Guests. Anybody heard that one?
No, I haven't heard about this at all.
Only because you've told me about it.
Right. So it is it's designed by, let me get the name, Gonzalo García, and it's published by Megacorpin Games. I don't know its release ahead of time. I don't know if it's in full release. This was a Kickstarter copy. I backed it like a year ago. I played it 2 years ago.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. It's Clue on steroids. If you like deduction games, if you like cryptid type games where you're keeping track of information and deducing who the killer is, this is set in you've killed the Lord of the Manor. I can't remember his name. Of course, he's got
Mr.
a
Walton.
fancy name. Walton.
Is it a
Thanks,
Walmart
Derek.
exclusive?
Oh gosh, that'd be interesting. Yeah, I don't know, but they should look into it because I had a great time playing it. You get a tracker sheet, which is a map of the mansion. You get a list of all the characters that are the suspects. They all have motives. There's a whole bunch of weapons, and all the weapons are actually laid out in the map. So that's kind of interesting. So what you have to do is deduce who killed Mr. Walton and what their motive was and which weapon they used. And the way the game works is it comes with like 250 cards, and there's a preset formula. So it'll say, there's a little bit of a pain, but you do have to find the 70 cards that make up the deck, right? So you're going to pull 70 of the 250. The book tells you, it's filled with scenarios, like little thing, like a list of number cards. You pull all those cards out, shuffle it up, deal out. And it's got an interesting card trading mechanicism where you offer cards to player. So you're sharing all the information, like all 70 cards. If you see them all, you can know who the killer is. You know all the answers. So you'll only see some of the cards, right? And so you'll kind of trade and have cards for trade. That's part of the game too, is like being a juicy trade, having the information that the other players want, right? So on my turn, I will ask for 2 pieces of information. I can ask about a room, I can ask about a person, and then people can give me cards based on that. There's point values on all the cards, so I have to give them cards equal to those point values back. So it's kind of an interesting trade. So you'll see some of my cards, and there's kind of a weird thing where you might see cards that you gave me previously if I'm a jerk, right? Like I might remember, oh, you gave me that card. So when you're offering me new cards, I might give that back to you. That's kind of a jerk play. But because once you have seen a piece of information and you've recorded it, then you don't need to see it again. So
it's directly from Clue.
It's straight from Clue. Yeah, straight from Clue.
That's what you do all the time in Clue. You have to ask the right people the right things so you don't re-see stuff. Yeah.
There's a pretty generous hand refresh part of the game where you'll always see 3 new cards every turn, even if you get zonked out of the trading part. So if you like keeping notes, keeping a little track of notes and making the deductions, like it has really cool things like the maid did not see anybody come through this path, right? So you put an X on the map, meaning all the people, you have to trace a path from the person's starting location to the weapon and then to the study where the murder happened. So you can kind of, it's something I've not seen. Like it's neat. It's a cool.
Yeah, that's a unique element to
it's a very cool deduction part that I'd not seen in those kinds of games before, right? Like movement,
right?
Pathing things through the house. That's a cool thing. I really like
recreating the scene of the crime in sort of more detail.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, fantastic deduction game to add. I love the deduction games like Cryptid. This one is like this, but different. So you should add it to your library, I believe. It's a little more easily accessible too, or let's say approachable than Cryptid, right? It's a little less brain power overload, right? Cryptid is like you have unlimited things, right? Like there's no limit to what you have to ask questions about, where you have to make up like what do you want to ask. This one, you've got all the information. You do the trading, which is kind of how you ask information, but you're limited to 2 things a turn. So it's a little more easy, I think. It's a little less high level.
Than Cryptid?
Yeah, Cryptid is, basic Cryptid is, it's pretty challenging, but then the advanced Cryptid is like, wow, blow my brain up, right? So this one, Awkward Guess, has a very nice, it's a a little bit above an entry level deduction game. But it's
Will
nice.
that be a BGG con to try?
I will put my copy in libraries for people to try.
Yay.
And the art is fantastic. It's muted sepia tone art, which is very cool. Like, it kind of gives you this gothic, typical like Clue murder mystery. Everybody's dressed up and fancy, and there's backstories for everybody, and they're funny. They're like a motley crew of people. The suspects all have a reason to kill the guy, so it's fun.
Like Clue.
Yeah, like Clue, but not.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a topic of the week.
So the topic of the discussion relates to a Spiele 19 release from Alderac Entertainment Group, Eco's First Continent by designer John D. Clare. So Clare and Alderac have a real relationship with Mystic Vale and Edge of Darkness. So
And Space Base.
Eco's First Continent is a new one, Space Base as well. So Alderac has the title up for pre-order. It's really trying to push it. Alderac has streamlined their production chain. They've reduced the number of titles they're releasing, trying to put more focus and more marketing behind each title they release to make it a bigger deal, as they've done with Tiny Towns and as they did with Point Salad, as they did with Space Base, where they highlighted that at Gamma in 2018. So for Eco's First Continent, they are having a pre-order deal for regular people where you can pre-order at $10 off. And the issue is that many retailers that I've seen on industry forums are having an issue with this, because a publisher offering a discounted copy of a game prior to it even being available at retail sends up weird signals. So is the publisher trying to drive publicity for this game, or does it not have faith in it and is trying to shovel, is willing to take a hit to shovel copies out on the market and maybe get buzz going? Or is it a good faith effort at getting buzz going? And some retailers are also, because at the same time that Alderac announced this, it announced a program for retailers where you can, if you buy a dozen copies, you'll get a free demo copy, and those copies are returnable at a certain period of time if you have not sold them. So
This is probably all related to issues of getting games into the distribution channel in the first place. I mean, this is what I've been hearing all year long, is that distributors are not picking up the games. They don't need new games. So they're only going to get the stuff that has the most buzz. And maybe this slightly negative buzz will be helpful, right? I don't know. I can't imagine. I mean, not that many people are going to pre-order the game anyway, right? It's not, there's plenty of people that do that, but it's truly small numbers in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
So I mean, if you're going to get frustrated with something like that, look at Tapestry, right? They're selling it to you for less, $20 less, and then it'll be $100 when it gets out into retail, right? It's exactly the same thing. And Jamie's definitely a lot more, there's more stuff going on there with Jamie too, right?
Right, where he's selling 10,000 copies, I believe, was being pre-ordered.
Right, at a discount.
25,000.
Well, and I think it was a total run of 25,000, wasn't it, or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, the total run's like 25.
I believe total run of 25,000 with 10,000 being available for pre-order.
Correct.
But Jamie's doing exactly the same kind of thing, and even more of a discount, right? I mean, Ecos, spoiler alert, we've got an In Focus video coming for that. They are definitely trying to get attention for that game, and it looks like a good game. They're trying to raise the bar of like fewer games that they feel don't have enough development, and that makes a lot of sense.
Well, I think anyone who's suggesting that they're just trying to dump copies of their unreleased game, it would seem like if they're offering to publishers the opportunity to return games that they don't sell, that sounds like a good faith move to me, not a bad faith move.
Absolutely.
Except you pay your own shipping.
It's still a pretty big chunk of money.
Got to be a compromise somewhere there, right? I suppose they can't just throw money away. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just this interesting dynamic where, of course, for each party, it kind of makes sense. I mean, Alderac definitely wants to build buzz ahead of the hundreds of other games that are coming out. They want to get attention on this. So I believe they set a pre-order limit, I don't know, 500 or something. So once they reach that limit, they're going to turn on pre-orders. So it's not the case that everybody can pre-order at $10 off MSRP.
That seems fair to me. I mean, it's like it's getting into the hands of fans, the people that want to do that, and that buzz can build. I don't know the magic solution for that stuff, right? Unless there's a bunch of elements that make it so that it's hotly anticipated what do you do to make people see it, especially if distributors aren't carrying games? That's the most frustrating thing that's going on right now for me in this in the industry, because there's plenty of stuff out there, and I totally understand retailers and distributors' situations there. They have too many games, right? But how do you get attention for your game? You can't. No publisher can afford to spend a couple years developing a game to have zero response when it comes out, right? Or very, very little. It's a lot of effort for potential AEG is doing the right thing. Putting more effort into the game, making sure the game is ready for prime time is a good idea. And there's plenty of games that rush it, publishers that rush it. So I think they're doing the right thing all the way around. I hope it works for them. There's a lot of publishers that need this kind of help, and if they can figure out some way to raise the awareness, then it will be great. That's literally the main reason why we put together the In Focus videos, was to help raise awareness of games. It's not. I mean, obviously, I'm sure some publishers might do it that has a game that's got buzz, but mostly it's designed to try to get some attention to these games. It's very difficult.
Right. I guess the big issue for retailers as well is they wish there was some other incentive than lowering the price, because in the mind of gamers, it's now a $50 game, not a $60 game, because initially it was, which is the same issue with Early Bird on Kickstarter, where people get peeved that this game was initially available at $50 on the Kickstarter and now it's $60 because I checked in 2 days later. What's the deal with that? Screw it. I don't want it. So it sets this weird price thing where instead of lowering the price, maybe you instead add something to it. So
I've had that reaction to Early Birds.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not getting it, I guess.
If everyone would learn to be a late bird, everyone would get a discount, because eventually everything goes
on clearance.
Yeah.
Yes. If you wait 3 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Or
you can't count on that, because I know of some publishers that destroy the games.
It's true. It's true.
Interesting.
I think there's no easy answer here. I mean, there really isn't. It's difficult. As we talked earlier, this kind of brings us full circle. It's nearly impossible to make everybody happy.
It is. So speaking of that, maybe it's a segue into a topic that Rodney wanted to talk about. So there is a new edition of Sidereal Confluence announced by WizKids. So that game came out. It's a hugely involved game. There's tons going on. It's a negotiation game where everything is up for negotiation. Had a great designer diary I loved by Tausetti.
So Dykeman, yeah.
Yeah, Dykeman, who wrote about it. It's very involved, but it also looked very much like a WizKids title. So pretty plain, not ideally designed in terms of the graphics. So WizKids now has a new edition coming with a new cover by Kwanchai Moria.
Wow.
With a revised rulebook.
It's gorgeous.
Which has more visual explanations for how things work, so that ideally you can learn the game more easily. It will include a teaching guide. It has new card layout for all the cards. So it's the graphic overhaul of everything to get more people enticed to play.
I thought this was fascinating, Eric, because so many games will come out and maybe they need a little more time in the oven, right? Like they just didn't quite get the attention they need, either on the development side or especially in the rules, so that people can get into the game a little easier and quicker. And definitely sometimes on the visual side of things too, which we know today is so important when there's so many games on the market. So when a game like this one, which I believe got a pretty good reception when it came out in terms of people who played it seemed to really like it.
Yes.
Giving it a facelift and almost a second chance as effectively the same game in sort of the same market, I'm kind of glad to see this.
Well, that's exciting from WizKids, especially.
Yes.
Because they have so many games that just hit the wall and fall, right? Because I believe that Zev is an excited designer. He loves his job. I mean, developer. He does a lot of games, and so many good games just fall completely under the radar. And for them to give this effort to bring a title that they obviously think is worth it is amazing.
It'll be interesting to see how people respond who bought the original edition. Will they feel like, oh, now this has made my older edition not seem as nice and special? Will they be frustrated by that, or will they be glad to see the game getting kind of a new, vibrant life for new people, potentially?
This is the advantage of being a late bird, as you
said before.
See? Yes. I mean, many people have talked about this, where you don't buy the first edition of games from designer X, publisher Y. Wait for the second edition 3 years later. So
yeah, but that formula forces people out of business.
Absolutely.
does.
It's true.
You have to take the risk of the game, right? You have to jump in there.
As I said earlier, publishers that destroy the games. Boy, that tells you if you don't go for it, you're not gonna get it, right? They don't like to see their games remaindered, and I totally understand that. It's if you want to get the games, go for it. I guess they feel it doesn't represent the company well if that happens, right?
Yeah. And again, it's all like smart choices on each level for retailer and distributor and publisher and buyer, gamer, smart decisions as well all around. And yet, of course, there are conflicts because they go head to head sometimes. The decision to buy or not buy, discount, not discount.
Well, it's weird because, I mean, I know there's been some blowback on Tapestry. I mean, plenty of people. We did the game night last week of that, and there's been a lot of people that are it seemed like they're set against that game, nothing new to offer. And I feel like just because they're looking at it and seeing a bunch of people like, it's a bit, it's not hard, but you definitely have to think a little bit like where you want to go. What can I do? What's the best way to spend my money, right? You have so few resources essentially. And the deal is the game is really good, right? I feel that some of this stuff could hurt them, and it's a downer. You don't want any. It's definitely a minefield that they're going to have to dance around to see the best results that they can do for this. I only wish them all success because there's so many good games out. It would be nice to have more of them get the attention they deserve.
Okay, so that's a very interesting discussion. If you have comments on what we've been talking about, why don't you post them? We read everything.
Yeah.
Please comment. We would love to hear from you. Okay, Steph, I know you've got a very exciting Kickstarter. I'm personally excited about it, but I want to let you talk about it. You played it.
Yeah, so there's a Kickstarter that launched this week called Time of Legends Destinies. And so it's a series of games inside a box. It's kind of like one-off games. So like I won't be able to go back and play this first game that I've played because I already know what kind of happens. But it's app-driven and it's competitive. So you're kind of exploring this world, trying to meet your destiny. There are 2 possible destinies for each character, and you don't really know what you're doing. You're just kind of like, well, I have an idea. You kind of know who your character is. I know what I want to do. I don't know what he wants to do, and I don't know what he wants to do. But what he does on the map, I will see and hear what his interactions are, so I could kind of get an idea if I want to go interact at that location, or I could go over this direction. Maybe I'm more of a loner and I don't want to go to the bar and talk to the people. Maybe I want to go to the forest and search for the hidden layer or whatever. So it's like
I like those being your 2 options. I'm gonna go drinking, or I'm gonna go pick mushrooms. Yeah.
So it depends on what your character is and what their objectives are and what their destiny will be. So whoever can complete their destiny first will win the game. So this is on Kickstarter, and there's 5 in the box. I've only played the first one again, and I think it's a good price point. It's like I think it's $50. So you really are paying $10 for a game that's maybe a couple hours long. So I kind of compare it to the unlock games where you're getting that full experience. It's not cooperative, so it's totally new. It's a totally new type of game. I haven't played anything really like it.
And it's from Lucky Duck Games, right? So they're known for the Chronicles of Crime, which is that app crime investigation game. So it's an evolution of that kind of, or is it completely different?
It's completely different. I mean,
I know you can ask about anything in that game, right? You can ask someone about something.
In Chronicles of Crime, anything can match with anything. This kind of the same in that you do have cards with the little barcode on it where you're scanning. Well, what do you want to ask about the bartender? What do you want the bartender to answer a question about? It's kind of like that, but it's not as open-ended, if you will. You're kind of more focused, so you have an idea of what you need to ask about, not just like, well, how about these keys? How about these swords? How about blah 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 blah? It's more, you can only ask about one thing on your turn. So you go to one location, you interact with one location, and then your turn is over. You are managing your skills as you would in an RPG kind of game. So you have your knowledge, your dexterity, your strength checks that you're going to be doing. And so you can, as the game goes on, you can increase your skills and get better results when you roll the dice.
Okay.
So
is it a system
I mean,
too? Like you buy the components and then they can release more games through the app, like DLC?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's what I'm envisioning, just like Chronicles of Crime, where you can use the same cards. You won't be using the same characters because obviously you know the destinies of the. It's a 1 to 3 player game, so it's not actually for more players.
Right, because I can imagine you would lose a little interest as it goes around. Right, because everybody's playing their part of the game, and then they. Like, no one else can do anything while that's happening. So you want to keep the player count.
Yeah, so what's weird for me, it's still in development. So it's there are things where he might collect the item I need, but since there are several items of that type, I might not need that specific item. But I want from this game is to have a little more...
You want it more personalized?
Yeah, so I envision this game doing really well because it's a really cool system. It's really cool. So hopefully in the later games or expansions, we'll see more of specialized to your character.
Yeah, it probably just started you as an intro and then maybe gets more in depth as you go.
I've only played the first game and I had a great time.
It's different characters through each episode?
As far as I know. I believe you get like 15 characters, so that makes sense. And like 5 different locations you'll be exploring. So like I have the map of the first location and I have the game of the first location and all that.
I got an overview of this at Gen Con too, and if I remember correctly, these are kind of like the regular people in the Joan of Arc game.
That's correct, yeah.
Oh, it's based on Joan of Arc.
Well, it's paired, they're working in partnership with Mythic, and Mythic has its own Joan of Arc game, and then these are like the regular people in the towns where the battles are going on off in the distance, and they know about them a little bit. That's
what I heard as well, Eric. Yeah.
Kickstarter page will have all the answers, and if not, you can put them in the comments. I'm sure there's 50,000 comments.
Yes.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the Board Game Geek Show. I'm pretty satisfied there. I think we talked about a lot of games. I'm really excited. Rodney, what you got coming up?
Well, Spiele, I guess, is coming up. Before that, I've got a few videos coming out. I'll have a new table talk, as we spoiled already. I'll have a tutorial for Funkoverse. Conspiracy will be out, and a whole bunch more. You know why? Because publishers keep making more and more games, and we've got to teach them. So there'll be more videos about them real soon. Cool.
Anything else? Does anybody else have anything to talk about?
So I have a number of overview videos related to titles coming out at Spiele. I mentioned Babylonia already. I've got Judo from Reiner Knizia as well. I have a number of other things, and something just arrived in the mail yesterday. Last Bastion, the new version of Ghost Stories from Antoine Bauza. Oh, you can see my screen reflected in this. That's good. Because I haven't taken off the shrink wrap yet.
Take the shrink wrap off.
I will do an overview of this before Spiele 19, just because so many people anticipate it and want to talk about what's different from Ghost Stories and how this works.
You can check out my blog. I do every other day updates for Spiele releases, so I've got a lot of games coming out.
Well, thank you everybody for watching. I'm your host, Scott Alden, and thank you to my lovely co-hosts, Lincoln Damerst, Steph Hodge, W. Eric Martin, and Rodney Smith. We'll talk to you later. See you next time.
Take care, guys.
See everyone.
Bye.
Bye.